One. Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 63. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardall. And we are joined once again by our recurring guest, JT Justin Meineke. Look at him in his Cougar background with the Cougar hat and the Cabela sweatshirt. He is ready to go. If you want to get at us on the show, go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Bader_Matt. Sean is Sean _Beatty. Kev's at Kev's with first name believes being a 3. JT is at JT_ the ginger. Gentlemen, let's talk some sad stuff first. Sounders played the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and they just the end of their season was not great. They played the Real Salt Lake team at home in the opening round of the MLS Cup playoffs. They had 20 shots. Real Salt Lake had 0. But it went to PKs and Salt Lake won 6-5. Kevin, you are our resident soccer analyst, and good luck charm. What happened?
We couldn't come to terms on an agreement for contract. I was looking at 7 figures. They wanted 6, and I told them to go,
So what you're saying is everybody on Twitter, you can at Kevin and say all the terrible things because he's the reason.
Yes, because hey, if they want to win, it costs money, and I've been saying this on the podcast. And look what happened. So maybe you should have forked out a little, extra digit there, Senior Sounders. So just saying.
Sean, any thoughts on the end of the Sounders season?
I didn't get. I was working, so I caught the very end of it, and then the shootout. It was rough to lose in that way, but for all the Sounders fans who are saying like, oh, a team who got 0 shots on goal, I hate how this ends and all that stuff, forgets when a couple of years ago the Sounders beat Toronto in the championship in the exact same way when they had 0 shots on goal and won in a shootout. So, be careful what you wish for. Like you won because of it, you lost because of it. Could they fix it? Yeah, probably. I would like an NHL thing, man. I don't know how you feel like in the playoffs, play till the game is over, like in play regular soccer till the game ends rather than end it in a shootout. Although the shootout is really entertaining, but it's not really soccer. You're not really playing soccer to end the game. So I get leaving it, but to say like this game's stupid because it ended that way, we want a cup because of it, like 3 or 4 years ago. So it's okay.
JT, any thoughts on the end of the Sounders season?
Yeah, having not watched it, I was like, dang, 5-6, come on, guys. Defense wins championships, but I see the parentheses, so yeah, 0-0 overtime. That's unfortunate. That's a tough way to lose, but I know Salt Lake is for real, or real, as the kids say these days. So that's a tough opponent and a worthy adversary. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I watched the whole game, and I mean, Sounders had chances, plenty of chances. I mean, Jordan Morris, Rui Diaz, Ladero, both Roldan brothers, all had chances. It just couldn't find the back of the net. And then Real Salt Lake was clearly playing for the PK because that was their best shot, and they did it and they won. So tough end to the Sounders season, but the Sounders will regroup, get healthy, have a fully healthy Jordan Morris, Rui Diaz, Nicholas Ladero, full back line with Nuhu back. So Kellen Rowe will come back next year, the Seattle native. So I think they're going to be just fine for next year. It's a tough way to end the season, but Sounders will be back and looking good next year. I'm very much sure of it. So unfortunate for the Sounders, but there's certainly always next year. And I mean, do we default to Portland because they're in the Western Conference Finals, or do we just root for no one?
No, you don't root for Portland. That's not
okay. I mean, do we root for Eastern Conference now? I don't know the rules.
Anyone but Portland, I guess, is probably who you go for.
Okay, even Real Salt Lake, who beat Kansas City.
Yeah, no, let's put it this way: Seahawks fans, the Rams knock you out of the playoffs. Do you root for the Rams or do you root for Minnesota Vikings, who play them next week? Or no, the Rams are playing and you lose to Minnesota and they play each other. Are you rooting for the Rams or are you rooting for Minnesota? I'm probably rooting for Minnesota. I don't root for the Rams ever.
That's fair. It's fair. Also, I would like them to go back to the European style they did where they had two legs, one each got a game at home. I don't understand what happened to that.
Yeah, actually, Matthew, now you say that, if you want to do PK after that, that's probably okay. But like, yeah, you need to do a home and home. You probably need to, it needs to be a home and home.
Yeah, because they used to do like 2-0 lead going back to the home team's field, and then they played another game. It would be a total aggregate, but that went away for some reason. So let us know what your thoughts are on the Sounders. Tweet us. I'm at Matt. Sean is _Beatty. Kev's at Kev's with first name believes it being a 3, and JT is at JT_the Ginger. I'm losing it. But let's talk about the best team in Seattle right now, the Seattle Kraken. The bar is low, but the Seattle Kraken.
Whoa. They're the best team.
I mean,
well, I guess that's currently playing.
I said the bar is low. Okay?
You said probably that's currently playing because the Mariners
active season.
The Mariners had a really good year. Okay, active. Yeah,
currently playing. So let's go through the games while we were away. So they lost to Minnesota 4-2 November 13th, lost to Chicago 4-2 November 17th, lost to Colorado 7-3 at home November 19th. But since that point, they have won 4 of 5. They defeated Washington Capitals 5-2 on November 21st. They defeated the Carolina Hurricanes at home 2-1. They went on the road, lost to Tampa Bay, unfortunately. Yanni Gourde got a Stanley Cup ring, so kudos to you, but not the loss. And then they were at Florida on Saturday, won 4-1 before playing today. The game you should have watched was the Kraken today, and they won 7-4 in Buffalo. So, Sean, what have you thought about the Kraken's 4 out of 5 games?
Well, I will say it started off kind of rough. Minnesota's a solid team, so no wrong there. Chicago, you really can't lose to Chicago. Dumpster fire. Come on, Matthew. Colorado, super good. Giving up 7 goals doesn't look great. Probably not, but Colorado was struggling, and unfortunately, they decided to get right real bad against you, unfortunately. But beating Washington, beating Carolina, and been beating Florida, all 3 of them, I think I tweeted out, were the top 8 at the time in the league. So beating those 3 teams, they lost to Tampa Bay, which again was like the 11th ranked team in the NHL or something like that. But you run those 4, and you win 3 out of 4 against them, and then you do what you're supposed to do against Buffalo. That's a damn good 2 weeks, honestly. Losing to Chicago is probably the only game that really hurts, but other than that, you took care of your business and you won a bunch of games you probably shouldn't have, or teams that were better than you. So that's a good week. Actually, probably a great week.
JT, any thoughts?
I think ultimately, Sean put it right. I mean, some good wins and then beating who you're supposed to beat. I'm enjoying seeing more offense. Saw recently they kind of had a Monday off and to reset and regroup and came to practice the next day. I saw the coach getting interviewed, was impressed with just they needed a refresh, and it's showing in the win-loss column. And this team just needs time to gel, time to create, different lineups and so it's positive that they can go on a 6-game losing streak and into a 4 out of 5, and it's just kind of like the ups and downs of a first inaugural season, the growing pains.
Losing 6 in a row before this isn't great, but at least they're kind of coming together now. Chris Drieger is actually playing pretty well in net when he gets his chances. He's got the last 2 victories against Buffalo and Florida, so I'm sure he'll probably get a little bit more time in net as well, even though Philip Grubauer has kind of turned it around a little bit. He has had some rough games, but I think the goaltending has started to turn around. That's why you're kind of seeing them win a little bit more. Jordan Eberle is starting to score. Alex Wenberg is starting to score. Jonas Domskoy is dishing out assists.
I think Eberle got hurt today.
I know. I didn't want to really mention that, but thanks for bringing that up.
What happened? I didn't see the update.
I actually didn't see it either. I'd have to go back and find it on Twitter or something, but I didn't see what happened either. But
I haven't seen an update because sorry guys, we're recording on Monday, so that game happened. The Seahawks game happened. We're trying to filter all the info, but can only pay attention to so much.
Yeah, I mean Jaden Schwartz is scoring, so Jared McCann's scoring, so guys are starting to find their legs and get going here. So I think it's good to see that even the defensemen are starting to get on the points. Finsta and Jimmy Oleksiak are getting in on the assist game. So this team is starting to gel at the right time, and hopefully carries into the later half of the season when you're making more of a hopeful playoff push, but right now only 6 points back of Sean's San Jose Sharks. So in a good spot right now. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more closer to 500. They're at least their home record is kind of close, being only one game shy of 500. But the points category is not looking great for their division, being 17, and everybody else is pretty much above 20, except for Vancouver. Yeah, hopefully they can kind of keep up the winning, do a little bit more winning than losing, like 600. Well, I don't know about 600, but a little bit of a 500 to kind of hopefully catch up in the points game, or else I don't see them doing a whole lot. But honestly, our expectations going into the season weren't the highest. So, I mean, the fact that they're not dead last is good. So,
Exactly.
I'm really good at that.
Positive. And I will be at the game next Thursday when they take on the Winnipeg Jets. So hoping to see my first win in I've only seen 2 games, but I'd like to see a win at some point here, and Winnipeg would be a good win to get. So tell us what you think of the Seattle Kraken, but let's move on to some baseball news in November. Yes, in November. So let's talk about the 2 moves that have made headlines in the last few days, and then you guys can fill in the gaps that I'm unaware of. The Mariners acquired Adam Frazier from the Padres. It was a trade that sent Raymond Kerr and Corey Rozier to San Diego. I don't know who either of those people are, but I'm sure all 3 of you do. So you can tell me who that is. They did a Frazier meme after they acquired him. So well played, Seattle Mariners social media. And then today they signed Robbie Ray, reigning AL Cy Young winner from the Toronto Blue Jays, to a 5-year, $115 million deal with a 3rd-year opt-out clause. So those were the 2 big moves that I saw. So I'm going to throw it to JT here. What you think of these 2 moves and any other moves that caught your eye?
I guess start with Frazier. Acquired from the Padres. Not much to acquire in terms of player trait, but I'm okay with it. Ultimately, probably playing second base, maybe a little bit of outfield if needed. Positive on Frazier in terms of just what he brings to the table. Playing mostly for the Pirates and a little bit there for the Padres near the end of the year. He's 29. Oh, his birthday's coming up in a couple weeks, so he'll be 30 going into the season. But I think just overall a solid baseball player in almost kind of like a JP Crawford like vein. He's going to hit for average. Not going to strike out a lot, but not going to walk a whole lot. And solid defense for a second baseman.
Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't mind what we kind of gave up for him. He's a good utility guy. Solid stuff kind of all around. He can play outfielder when you need. He's kind of like a more but better. Especially
he's way better than more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a guy that can play infield and outfield. Solid bat. He did kind of die down after he got traded to the Padres. He was a little bit more hot when he was with the Pirates, but we'll see how he's still young-ish, as I say that, about to turn 30, but he's a good piece to add to the club, and then brings a little bit of veteranness to a very young squad with Kyle leaving. So maybe they can other people can kind of pick his brain a little bit on certain things, and it seems like the ball club's excited for him. So we'll see what happens.
Sean?
Kind of what they said. He is about to turn 30. He is in the last year of his contract, but it's one of those players that if he sees something here, I'm not sure he's against staying here. He doesn't seem like the guy. He's not going to be a guy that's going to like a Javi Baez or something like that. It's going to have a huge price tag because he was an all-star this last year. I don't know if he's going to be a 114 WRC plus kind of guy going forward, but he'll be a solid contributor to this team. I expect probably a league average hitter with good defense. And if you fill out the roster with other hitters, you don't need him to be more than that. He's a good defensive or a solid defensive second baseman who makes contact, who does everything slightly above MLB average, everything else. So you honestly need those players. Not every position's you're not gonna be the Dodgers every year. Like not everybody has that, but like you need these guys like what was it? The Nationals had Howie Kendrick kind of guy. Like you need a guy like that that's gonna kind of just be in his 30s, like Kevin said, seen a lot of baseball, but will be a solid major league contributor to a team that is banking more on its young guys and some guys they bring in. So solid move, again, 1-year deal. So they didn't have to give up a whole lot. The other two guys they gave up aren't projected to be anything right now. Who knows? Who knows? No, Freddie Peralta's are coming, maybe. Who knows? But knock on wood here. But I think it was a good move. I agree with JT. It was a good move, obvious a move that they needed. They needed to shore up the second baseman once Marcus Semien came off the market, and I like it. So he's a reigning NL and all-star second baseman. So there you go.
Now, does this move Toro to third in this scenario?
From what I've heard is yes so far, but I don't think they're going to be done. I don't even think they might be done at second base either. Is the rumor I heard. Their goal, I think initially was what I heard was he's going to be the utility guy, and they're trying to fill in with a second baseman and a third baseman on their active roster. And he's their guy who plays kind of everywhere. Left field to start, and then fills in after, some guy named Julio shows up.
Okay, so Robbie Ray, Kevin, where does he slot into the rotation for you? Does he take that ace spot or where is he?
If he pitches like last year, yes. I'm gonna have probably a little bit different perspective on this. I was happy with the deal. Pitching is very inconsistent in MLB, as Robbie Ray kind of shows with having a Cy year win, this year and the year before having a 6.22 ERA.
That was a short season, to be fair.
It was a shortened season.
There's a lot of weird numbers that year, to be fair. But yeah, I get what you're saying. He had a 4 the year before. So yeah.
I'm just glad we only gave him 5. I don't like giving pitchers like 7-8 year deals when they're turning 30. Like it's just there's so much inconsistencies plus injuries too. Like but we needed a guy who can be your 1 or a solid 2, and Robbie Ray kind of gives you that. It's got to be the pants, Colin. Those tight pants. Definitely.
I should have downloaded that picture and had it as my background. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I mean, Mariners fans are going to be, they're going to have something for that this year at T-Mobile Park. Hopefully they have probably like a tight pants day, kind of like with a Jimmy Fallon kind of thing. Got my tight pants on type of deal. Probably where everybody just wears tight pants and has the tightest pants in the land. But overall, solid. Like last year, he was filthy. I think he led the league. What was it in K9? Pretty much.
I believe he is the all-time leader in active K9.
In active K9, yeah.
Yeah.
23 qualities, 23 quality starts for the Jays. If you get 90% of that, I'm happy. Like, just gotta stay healthy. That's the quality thing. And yeah. So where he slots, most likely he will be our Sean changing backgrounds. I like it. Probably be our ace. And Marco comes too.
You gotta move your head though.
There you
go.
go.
My God.
Oh yeah.
Tight pants Robbie Ray right there. Okay.
I mean, unless he like does like what Kikuchi did, kind of like in the second half. Like he starts out as your ace pretty much, and probably stays your ace unless he falls off the planet. But yeah, I'd put him in the ace slot. So I like the deal.
Sean, where does he slot for you?
We could talk about other signings later because I really want to talk about where he stacks up against who I would have liked the Mariners to get. But I love it because not because of necessarily the player. There were other players that probably would have had it before, but and yes, Kevin's probably correct in his assessment. And we we're paying for a guy after his best year at 30. It's a little nerve-wracking, but you did need a front of the line guy. And he did say he worked on a couple things. His only issue in the past has really been walks. If he figured out his walks, he's always been, if he could figure out his walks issue, he's an amazing, he strikes out. We talk about Caper Night guy, active leader in all of baseball history. He strikes out a ton of people. And if he did last year, and he was great, got a little lucky, but we have, even if fielding independent, we have a really good defensive infield as it stands right now. So that shouldn't be an issue either. So he strikes out guys, and if they do make contact, it's usually not very hard. Our defense should make up for that. So, and we're a much bigger ballpark than Arizona, than Toronto, where he played. So
more, or no, I'm thinking Gausman. Sorry,
no, he's from Detroit, I guess, but he 28 innings.
I was thinking Gausman. Sorry.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but yeah, basically Arizona and Toronto. So those are all those things say that maybe not. The 2.8 ERA, but I could easily see him being low threes if he keeps the walks just sort of close to where he was last year. That's not out of the question. Cy Young, again, you're probably not going to get another guy who's another Cy Young season, but again, a solid at worst number 2. He probably slots in for me as ahead of Marco, but I don't know if they're going to start him above Marco because, it's the whole, I've been here longer, so I kind of get the opening day start kind of situation with Marco. So they might technically do that opening day and then have him start game 2 because Marco's no slouch either, but they might pull that move. But yeah, in my eyes, he's their number 1 so far.
Sean, I see you talking, but I just cannot take my eyes off the ball.
Sorry, it's
you.
tight
It's
pants.
I don't know what to do. It's just...
He's got tight pants, man.
Yeah, he does. JT,
you're gonna love the tight pants.
Robbie Ray, ace, Mariners ace.
Absolutely. On paper and in real life. He's got the man bun, he's got the beard, he's got the tight pants, and he's just he looks like he could be the cousin of Robin Williams, just fair skin, dark hair. I think a Louisiana boy, Robert Ray. But yeah, he's
I have his name is officially Robbie Ray. Is that his official name?
His official name, I'm on Baseball Reference because I was going to quote some stats. His real name is Robert Glenn Ray.
Oh, okay. Fangraphs has his official name is Robbie Ray, so that just threw me off. Yeah.
So he just turned 30. Oh, Tennessee. My apologies. He's from Tennessee. But
Brentwood, you watch your mouth.
The all-time career leader in strikeouts per 9 at 11.2. Other guys up here in the top 10 all time, we're talking Chris Sale, Darvish, DeGrom, Scherzer, Randy Johnson. Ever heard of him? Strasburg, Cole, Kerry Wood, and Aaron Nola. Pedro's right there at 11. Chump. Anyways, he's the real deal. It is troubling slightly that he's coming off the most innings he's ever pitched in a season. I mean, he's got 4 seasons of 200 strikeout years under his belt, but this is the first time he's pitched over 175 innings. So yeah, do the math. He strikes out a ton. Walks and home runs are always his bugaboo, and he does give up hard contact. But in terms of what's a place where you want to move to and pitch in, it's going to be Seattle, a big ballpark, Marine Layer. It's going to be a good, solid young defense behind you. So I think this bodes well. And I think in terms of what you expect in terms of the pitching market, it's on par. Feel good about it. I mean, would you rather Gausman, you mentioned, he has virtually the same contract. They just signed. Gausman is going now to the Blue Jays, but they're relatively the same age, almost exactly. So I almost would pose a question. Would you rather have Ray coming into Seattle, or would you rather have Gausman going into the Blue Jays?
That's hard. I was going to bring that up because as we talked about here, Matthew was saying, go out and get guys. The Mariners actually offered more money to Gausman than he signed with Toronto. He chose Toronto. That's what I was saying with when you say go out and get people in the offseason. And everybody was saying that the player has to sign the deal. The Mariners offered the second most. The Mets offered the most. He turned both down. He chose to play in Toronto. So the Mariners are trying. Some players have taken less money to play where they want, which it's fine, but like that is where it is. They basically offered the same deal that they offered Robbie Ray and Gossman, and Robbie Ray took it, Gossman didn't. So it's a hard question, JT. Who do you take?
Me personally, I mean, I think I still take Ray. In terms of like, we're just coming off like a year that Gossman started off as like a front runner for the Cy Young in the NL, but when you go for a second half of a 4.42 ERA, and I'm just trying to look at his underlying.
And he played in, like you said, in San Francisco, which is, me and Matthew have been there, incredibly cold. Like the literal marine layer is next to the stadium. Like it is like you could hit it in McCovey Cove. Like it doesn't get any more hitter friend or pitcher friendly than that, really. So
it's a nice ballpark though.
It's gorgeous, but yeah, that helps him a lot, like you said, JT.
Yeah, and which is interesting because on the season, Gossman pitched a little bit worse at home.
His K to 9 though is real nice. If Robbie Ray can just do a Gossman K to 9, it would be. I'd be so, because Robbie Ray, he does one thing and does that really well. Wears two things: wears tight pants and strikes mofo's out. And so I think he's just going to keep striking mofo's out.
Well, I like seeing the moves. I've heard that there are some players who are holding out because of a potential strike. I'm not sure how realistic those rumors are, but
can I also say Robbie Ray's first season was the 2014 Detroit Tigers. They now have 5 Cy Young winners on that rotation. They had David Price, a guy named Justin Verlander, another guy named Max Scherzer, and Robbie Ray were all on that rotation. Detroit, you really screwed that one up. You really screwed that one up. Yeah, like
It's Detroit. I mean,
Miguel Cabrera, Nick Castellanos, JD Martinez. Yeah, it probably should have been a dynasty there. Yeah.
all right.
Okay.
So I want one name from each of you who is still out there that you want the Mariners to, at the very least, like Sean said, can't make him sign the deal, but who do you want him to make a run at? Kevin, who do you think?
God.
I have an answer ready.
Sean?
All right.
I got Chris Bryant.
Good.
I mean, there's obvious risk with Chris Bryant, but I think even if he regresses, he is a above average, like a good player, maybe not like a crazy all-star every year, but he's a good player that can play third, play a couple of utility spots. And he's relatively young-ish compared to, like, he's not 32 or anything like that. I believe is he 29? JT, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's 29, about to be 30. I'm not sure how old Chris Bryant is off the top of my head, but
He's listed as 30 here.
30, okay.
That's going into next year. So
yes, he's actually 29. So I was right on both accounts. He's 30 going into next year, but technically he's 29. So he's the one I want. I don't really want Javi Baez because his strikeout swing and miss really, really scares me playing in Safeco or T-Mobile Park. Just, I don't know if I want that, but Chris, I'll take either. If you want to sign both, I'm not going to like cry about it. Mariners, you should sign both, but Chris Bryant's the one guy I want.
JT, who do you want?
well, if Sean gets to pick 2 people, I get to pick 2 people. I was like sweating it over here. Which person would I?
Javi Baez is not my number 2. Javi Baez is like my number 9. Like guy.
No. You were saying Chris Bryant or anyone in particular? No.
No.
Okay,
I'll let you
fine.
go.
I will pick one. I will pick one, and I want my 2 that I would really enjoy would be Marcus Stroman or Trevor Story. And it's not I mean, Carlos Correa is going to break the bank, as we saw with Texas getting Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Ridiculous amount of money, but
half a billion.
In terms of realistic, like plausible contracts that make sense for the Mariners, I like Marcus Stroman. I like his track record. I like the person he is, the type of culture that he can impart on a club. And in terms of Trevor's story, I think that would be the right number. I don't know how many years he's probably looking for. Sean and I kind of were talking about that just a little bit ago, but he's 29, going into his age 29 season, so he might be wanting like 8 years or something crazy. So that would be a tough one to swallow. But so yeah, I'll go Marcus Stroman. I want to build a foundation of pitching, and next year maybe see where our offense is at. But
Yeah,
I think we need to build the foundation.
My number 2 was Trevor Story. That's who, like, if we don't get or Chris Bryant, I want Trevor Story.
Kevin, who do you want?
The pickle with it is just figuring out how the infield would work. I would say Trevor Story, just because he's younger with a little bit more upside.
They've talked to him about moving. Like, other teams have talked to him about moving because they understand the shortstop market's kind of crazy this year.
Yeah,
He's been rumored to be willing to move to third, and that's why the Mariners are on him.
Yeah. I'm gonna, even though I do like the whole Stroman, and I wouldn't be opposed to it, and apparently neither would Paul Sewald or J.P. Crawford.
Yeah,
Apparently they want him here too. I'm gonna throw a name out here, which I was kind of surprised I haven't heard, which is Mr. Kershaw. He's 33 still. He's not too old, and honestly, if you get him for like a 3-4 year deal, like, why not?
The question comes, Kevin, is how much per year do you give Kershaw, who's been nicked up a lot? What do you offer him?
I mean, probably if I throw him like a 3-year deal, it also depends on if he wants a 3-year deal. I think probably minimum he's going to take is a 4-year deal, because he probably wants some security there. So 4-year deal.
His last year he just completed was 3 years, 31 million per year.
Yeah, I was probably going to say you're going to probably be near the 100K range if you're in a 4-year deal. So I would probably try to offer him a 4-year $100,000 deal, maybe 105, just kind of, and just see what he says.
Are you meaning million?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You said
yeah, because he's getting 31 per year. So that's about 25,000 a year because he's getting older, and he came off of an injury the previous before. And he was hurt last year, wasn't he? He was hurt for a little bit last year.
He's hurt every year.
Yeah. Just because at the same time too, even though we need pitching, but we also got to remember we have Sexy Kirby, we have Sexy Hancock, and Sexy Brash coming on up too. So we want to make sure we have spots. I mean, we could always do a 6-man rotation. I'm not shy about that. Especially after losing Kikuchi, but you still have some things that you have to kind of work out and see what you have there. Like, are we giving up on Sheffield? Are we giving up on? I mean, Don could be probably a bullpen guy, and who kind of just bails you out after a starter just has a really tough deal. But yeah, I'd like to see like a nice 3 to 4 year Kershaw contract if we can't get Stroman. And have a nice 1, 2, 3 there. I mean, with Ray, Kershaw, and Marco being your 3, it's not too shabby with Gilbert behind him.
You made me look up Kershaw, like 2011 to 16. That's just stupid. That's stupid. Like, that's not a human being. Like, that's just like stupid numbers, like, honestly. But yeah,
like you said, like, people don't realize, because I mean, he's been in the league for a while and he's just been dominant, but like, he's only 33. He could probably still go for a little bit.
He had averaged a 2.06 ERA for that amount of time.
Oh, bro.
Like the 2 ERA.
We lost the JTs.
We'll see if we can get JT back here, but I'll give mine. I would like Stroman. I would like to shore up this rotation just a little bit more. Make sure that starting 5 or 6, however many it may be.
Well, if you sign Stroh, it's starting 6 probably then.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
starting 6. That's what I'm saying.
That sounds great. And JP Crawford and Paul Sewald both want him, so I think that's a good fit. And pitching is very important these days. So yeah, that's what I would go with. It was Mark Stroman. So
I don't know about you, JT. I want to ask JT and you guys a question. So I feel like Hancock we're not going to see him this year in the majors. I anticipate seeing Kirby. So if you anticipate that and you sign Stroh, so you guys are okay with the 6-man rotation this year?
I mean,
Yes.
and anticipating and probably an injury and knock on wood.
at the same time too, like, I mean, they were damn near thinking about bringing up Brash at the end of the year last year.
No, yeah, and
Like,
I'm just asking because I'm okay with
yeah.
a 6-man rotation. I was just asking.
I mean, are we fitting Brash in that rotation, or is he your
No,
bullpen
wait,
Hold on.
guy?
What is it? Marco, Robbie Ray,
Flexen,
Gilbert.
Gilbert. Who am I missing?
Well, you
Dunn
signed
slash
Stroh.
Sheffield.
No, you signed Stroman and then
Stroh.
again Kirby. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
They're
okay.
going to call it Kirby. So that's your 6. I mean, to start the year, we probably won't be that, but Kirby will probably be here sooner, maybe a little later than Logan was in 2020, in 2021. But
I
he
would say
will,
probably June-ish. I think.
yeah, he will be here
June
this
is-
year,
Yeah.
barring a setback again. Knock on wood, but yeah, he will be up. So I'm okay with that. I am okay with a 6-man rotation as well.
All right. Well, let us know what you think of the Seattle Mariners moves, who you want them to pursue in the rest of free agency. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at _Matt. Sean's at Sean_Betty. Kev's at Kev's Believe First Name Believes Me to 3. JT is at JT_the Ginger. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Let's talk about a much sadder Seattle subject now, the Seattle Seahawks. So we took a week off. So we have missed 2 games, but don't worry, the result was the same. It was not good. So the Cardinals came to Seattle, won 23-13. I'm not going to run down that box score. It's
They're
not
both. You
good.
can just skip them both, to be honest.
okay. I'll give them. I'll skip them both. And then the Washington football team hosted the Seahawks tonight, a couple hours ago, and they won 17-15. So let's just get our thoughts from these 2 games. Kevin, I'm going to throw it to you first.
I mean, I'm going to say what I've been saying before. It's time to make some moves in the offseason, period. Like, is it all on Russ? No. Let's start with the Cardinals game. That could have been better. It was a little bit mixture of a lot of things. Russ not being great. Receivers not really fully being great either. There were some balls that were catchable that the receivers just shit their pants on. And the O-line just being a bunch of traffic cones and a teddy bear. The offense just looks atrocious. Defensively, they're respectable. I mean, they've gotten better. But I mean, you're playing a Colt Cousins and a Taylor Heineke. I mean, what do you, and they've held them under 25 points each time. So I guess that's good. You should probably do a little bit better against them, especially like, for example, I know I said I was going to go with the Arizona game, but like tonight, they mentioned that literally on damn near every play on 3rd down, Washington has ran the ball. Do you know how many high 2 safety sets I saw on 3rd down? Quite a bit. Why? Why, Pete Carroll? They're going to run the ball. There should be minimum 9 players in that goddamn box, but your old stupid ass just I just don't get it. To be frank, it's just stupid. Like, and they ran the ball and they got they had 22 first downs. God, sorry. So back to the Arizona game. Should we honestly, that should be a thing, like a new rule in the NFL. If you lose to Colt McCoy twice, you have to fire your coaching staff. That should be a thing. Because it shouldn't happen. Period. Having both corners go out eventually kind of, was their kryptonite, because then you had 2 crappy backups and it made Colt McCoy look like an average starter in this league. Then they just didn't know what the hell to do. It was just Bobby running around there with his head cut off, and the rest of them just doing God knows what. To the Washington game, I kind of found it funny. There's a couple of funny things in there. They played defensively. They played okay. Jamal Adams had a pick, but literally I could blindfold my dog and you could catch that ball. He literally had forever to catch it. And if he didn't catch it, he should have been benched immediately. I love the announcer calling Stephon Diggs one of the greatest safeties in the league. That's an absolute joke. He's not. So that was kind of adorable. Bobby was a nightmare tonight. But good for Bobby. I mean, we all know this. Bobby's a Hall of Famer. Jamal Adams on the second touchdown play. I don't know what you're doing there, bro. At least try to pull an Earl and go in there and chop that ball out. Like you just literally like stood there, watched it happen, and then you had your hands out at the end. I'm like, go toward the player with the football, bro. Like a 9-year-old could tell you this. Oh, and then like they had the big swing, like McKissick going out on the swing pass when Jamal Adams is literally right in Heineke's face and they get a first down and left like 25 yards. I thought that was adorable to kind of add on that offenses are really good when he rushes the quarterback because he's not good at it. Yeah. So we gave up 2 first-round picks for that. I'm so happy still. It just makes me happy inside. Offensively, they kept talking a whole night about DK Metcalf. Like, do we not like Tyler pooping on that secondary? Does nobody care? Like in national, Tyler's so good. I don't get how everybody's like, oh, DK's not getting targets. Yeah, because Tyler's murdering people. I mean, yeah, should you have some plays designed for DK? Sure. And then the one time you throw to DK, he does a 50-50 jump ball that he doesn't use his body to win, and it's incomplete while Will Dissly is in the middle of the field, 25 yards down, completely wide open, and probably could get a touchdown off of it, if not get you to inside the 10. Because there was one safety who was not near him. Yeah. Should you bench Russell? No. What's the point? Gino's still gonna fall. Will he make better passes? Sure, but he doesn't move well as Russell, and that O-line is just a hot pile of shit. Pardon my language, but it is. Dwayne Brown is really the only good thing on it. The right tackle's been okay. The tackles have been all right, but everything in the middle is just a hot pile of crap. Just a hot pile of crap. You got to, with whatever draft picks or free agency, you got to go get something in this offseason, period. Or else I wouldn't blame Russell if he wants to walk later on. Because, I mean, and plus, yes, Russell did not have the best throws tonight. The touchdown throw was actually kind of Russell-ish, which he put it right on the money, like where it should be. But then there was other Russell throws that you're like, well, what the hell was that? So you can kind of still tell that he's healing and still getting things back in. His decision making is not all there, and I think it's just kind of I don't know if it's his injury affecting him or him being out. The run game was just completely shut down, and then we were still trying to go to it in the third quarter. I don't get that. Yes, Russell's not playing great, but he's your only thing that's kind of getting you offense. Let him cook, because obviously the run game is shut down. Probably because they have, well, even though Chase Young's out, they have, first round pick on that front four. So it's kind of a thing that they're going to probably be good at stopping the run. And especially since, like I said, our O-line's just a heaping pile of elephant crap. So, can I say it's Shane Waldron? Because a lot of people were like, oh, is it Shane Waldron? It's really hard to tell. Eskridge needs to put on 10 pounds because he got one-handed choke slammed by a linebacker. It was kind of adorable on a jet sweep. Yeah, does not look great for this offense and for the Seahawks until they do a coaching change, and I mean head coaching change with a lot of other stuff. Because you keep Russell, because he's what wins you games, not Pete. It's going to be a lot of gloominess until the Mariners come around. So I'll pass it off.
Sean, what do you think?
Gosh. I honestly, I find the Cardinal game more egregious because it's Colt McCoy. And it wasn't just Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy threw for 330 and 2 touchdowns on you. He didn't just Tyler Heineke this. He like torched you. They're just, yeah, Kevin's right. And like, I don't know how anybody at this point, I see Seahawks Twitter coming around, like, not even if you thought it was Pete Carroll's fault before, things have to change, like in the offseason, like things have to be done to switch this up because it's just so bad. This team is, especially on offense, way too talented to be this bad. And for those people who, there's a couple people who are like online, they're like, oh my gosh, it's Russell and he can't throw over the middle and he can't do all these other things. I have a little game we're gonna play here. So Russell's been in the league for, what is this, Kevin, his 9th season? Or is his 10th?
10th.
So he struggled a little bit the second half last year. So what? So 8 seasons of good football. So for 8 years, NFL defenses saw him every single week, went to 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl, and didn't realize he couldn't throw over the middle of the field. That's what people are trying to tell us, like that teams didn't figure this out for 8 freaking years, and maybe NFL teams are behind. I've said that before on some play calling things, but either that's what's happening or maybe something else is going on. I tend to believe in part 2. I don't think everybody in the NFL was stupid when it came to Russell Wilson for 8 years. I don't think the teams have figured out that he can't throw over the middle of the field. Like, let's just do, like, that is not what happened. The NFL didn't figure out Russell 9 years into his career. That is not like, it's like a baseball guy, like, oh man, I turned 29 and they figured me out finally. They figured out how to get me out. They realized I couldn't hit the low ball. Like, no, they're going to figure, it's their job. It's people's job for almost a decade to figure out how to get Russell off his rhythm, get baseball players out. And they're going to figure out it's not going to take 10 years. So it's something external other than Russell Wilson. Something else is happening. The injury, yes, is kind of the issue recently and doesn't help, but he was struggling before, struggled a little bit last year. So something else other than Russell can't throw short balls or isn't progressing right. Maybe it's disconnect between him, some offensive coordinator. Maybe it's disconnect between him, Pete. Maybe it's, whatever it is, the offensive line not figuring it out. People are not on the same page. That's clearly what it is. It's not solely a Russell Wilson problem. The page is just messed up. The 2-year-old took a crayon to it and just wrote all over it. It's terrible. So I'm so tired of people saying like Russell's so short, he can't progress. Well, Kyler Murray before he got hurt was the MVP and he's just as short as Russell Wilson. Like that being short, Drew Brees, even in his last year, couldn't throw the ball 30 yards. So it was still an incredibly effective NFL quarterback and was one Cook fumble away from playing Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Like in his last year, where he could barely throw it 30 yards. Like, and he's 6'0". Like his height hasn't affected other quarterbacks and it doesn't affect Russell Wilson. Like NFL average linemen are 6'4", unless you're maybe Josh Allen, you're seeing over the top of him. But Matt Hasselbeck told us this years ago, every NFL quarterback looks through windows. It's not a thing you're seeing over an offensive line. No NFL quarterback really is. So his height is not the reason that he's not completing balls in the middle of the field. Other things is happening. And I would love to tell you I have the answer for that, but those are things that are happening behind the scenes. We can't tell you. Somebody on Twitter tells you, some very smart Seahawks people tell you they figured it out that Russell's not seeing his progressions right. It's something that's happening behind the scenes in those sessions, player development, everything. Like something is going on back there. It is progressing very, very fast. And it shows you if Russell isn't dominating top of the level, top 3 quarterback in the NFL, this team is a mess because this team is so paper thin. Their talent has not replenished the last couple of years. It was a stack of, what they say, I can't even remember the saying, a stack of cards just waiting to fall down, paper cards, where the playing cards, stack, house of cards. Yeah. It's just waiting to fall down, and it fell down in wholesale changes.
JT, what do you think?
JT, you're muted.
I think he's either looking up stats or.
Are we good?
Yeah.
You're good.
I don't know why I was muted. I think because I lost connection, I came back in and maybe it was muted the whole time.
Hope you weren't trying to talk or add stuff in because we heard none of it.
No, I wanted to share two things. That's what I was saying. I want to share two things I've heard from friends and family that are just very casual yet diehard Seahawks fans. You need to go back to Geno Smith, is what they've said. Kind of a consensus, and you need to just cut that DK Metcalf guy. Was another kind of consensus, and I was kind of floored, and I just, it's really interesting to get other perspectives of people who just watch the game on Sunday and don't really like invest much else. But I would imagine that's a majority of fans, and it's somewhat unfortunate that my reality perceives that Russell Wilson covers a lot of holes. Winning covers a lot of, hey, if we win, it doesn't matter if XYZ happened, we still got the job done. And the poor drafting, the poor draft capital of picks being exchanged, it needs a major reset button. And I really hope Russell Wilson comes along for the ride for another go at it. But I'm starting to deal with a different possible reality of this could be a complete overhaul. It's just really unfortunate when I want to watch the Seahawks games, but sometimes I don't. It's just it's the same thing week in and week out. And when to both your points, when when they play the Cardinals and Colt McCoy does what he did, and then Tyler Heineke tonight's game just being frustrating. Man, that week one win against the Colts and the way the offense looked that week, that seems years ago, not even just a month or two ago. It's crazy how much you feel about the season. We all kind of knew the reality, but as soon as Russell gets, the injured finger pulled out of the game, it's almost, and I think you've spoke to it before. I think if I remember watching, like Kevin mentioned a couple weeks ago, it might be what was needed. It might speed up this whole process that we've been alluding to for a while in terms of change. And the owner of the Seahawks, I just don't know what kind of people she's surrounded herself with in terms of investing in who does what and how that's all structured. But I think a lot needs to change. And I think you still start Russell. DK is just gonna DK. I mean, it's like having Dennis Rodman on the 90s Bulls. It is what it is. But in terms of just being a Seahawks fan, it's bittersweet because this team had so much potential over the years, but we've literally wasted it away in terms of just different ways. We found different ways to really hamstring ourselves, and it's just kind of, we're left with this result. And I hope we can bounce back, because it would be a disservice to Russell Wilson in his career, and I wouldn't hold it against him if he was wearing different colors near the end of his career, which would be very, very sad.
I'm just going to summarize both games. The Seahawks are just a bad football team. There's just no way around it. The record says that. Everything on the field with your eyes says that. I'm sure the analytics probably back that up, at least somewhat. They're just a bad football team. I've kind of been looking at other veteran quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and how their careers have gone. I just got two examples here. Drew Brees in his 11th season, 7-9 in New Orleans. Aaron Rodgers in his 11th season in Green Bay, 6-9-1. Both missed the playoffs.
He's also had an historically horrible defense too. That
Saints defense was fucking trash.
What's the Seahawks defense right now? Is it good?
24th in the league, I think. Like,
But
not
they are playing.
they're not historically bad. Like that, it's not.
I mean, either way, a quarterback has a very big amount of outcome on the game, and there are seasons where quarterbacks just don't have it. I don't think this takes away from the legacy of Russ or anything like that, but he's bad this season. He's just bad.
What year was that? What year was that?
Which one?
The Drew Brees year.
Drew Brees, 2012.
2012.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm curious.
And then he went 11-5, and then 7-9, 7-8, 7-9. So they kind of picked it back up there towards the end of his career. But yeah, the season is over. There's a lot of talk of what to do in the off season.
Drew Brees was the third best quarterback that year.
I'm kind of like I'm kind of meh on either way. I think I could see it going either way. I could see them doing nothing, honestly, and just kind of trying to pick up pieces here and there. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I do think it's going to be a complete rebuild, but I do think Seahawks fans need to recognize that a complete rebuild probably doesn't include Russ. So I think if you do want to rebuild, you do want to fire Pete and the coaching staff, that's totally cool. But
why doesn't a rebuild include Russ?
Because in the offseason, he gave us teams he wanted to be traded to. Unless he has absolute full say in who the coaches are, I don't see him wanting to be here. It depends on who stays and who goes.
Then let him.
Huh?
Then let him.
Then let who?
Aaron Rodgers fired Mike McCarthy. Let him fire Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
I don't see a scenario where Russ is going to be here in a team that you guys have said needs a reset. Like, why would he want to stay here for a team that has a reset?
NFL resets can be one off season with an elite quarterback. This isn't the MLB. This isn't like a 7-year thing.
Yeah. I think Seahawks fans and you guys need to accept the fact that Russ is probably going to leave at some point in the near future.
I get it. And that will be terrible. That's the worst outcome.
But I think a wise thing to do would be to get something for him while you still have him. Gain some assets and actually do a rebuild.
You've lost the value. This is the terrible. You don't trade him at his lowest.
What he's going to leave in a year anyway. Like that is my perspective. He's gone either way in a year. So you either get something for him or let him walk.
Your option is to fire Pete Carroll.
Yeah. See, you guys can think that. I completely disagree. If Pete goes, I see Russ out the door. If not this year, the next year. Like what?
Why would he leave?
Pete is the anchor, like holding him.
He basically said that last offseason.
What is appealing to Russ of a rebuild? What is appealing to him?
So it's not a rebuild.
It's not a rebuild.
You just replace the head coach, Matthew.
So you think just replacing the head coach is going to fix this?
It could. It worked in Green Bay.
Big start. Like, so I'm going to break this down real quick. So when you fire Pete Carroll, you have what's her name? Lisa Allen. I don't know what her full first name is, who's not fully, into football. So when she's going to pick a head coach, she's going to want somebody that's going to help along. And why not go to your franchise quarterback especially since she's smart enough to know that he's the winning piece now. Like Russell is literally you have to be living in a goddamn cave to not know that Russell is the key ingredient to how this team wins. Period. Like they're not winning now because he's hurt and because their O line is a hot pile of crap. You have good weapons. You have the Hall of Fame quarterback. Your running game has been fine. It's just O-line and then fixing up a couple pieces on defense that you can do in 1 to 2 drafts and a little bit of offseason free agencies. And then you literally, with Russell Wilson carrying this team, while you get pieces around it, you can literally go back to what you were doing before and go beyond.
And out of the cookie jar.
Yeah.
Like the Packers fired Mike McCarthy after going 6-9. They have gone 13-3 every year since. I'm not saying it's like guaranteed, but it literally was shown. The Packers have been better than you every year after they fired their Pete Carroll. And I told you this. Going into this year, Mike McCarthy and Pete Carroll had the exact same record and both won a Super Bowl. They were the same, and they fired their Pete Carroll.
I hear what you're both saying. Kevin said 1 to 2 drafts, and that would be a couple of years. And I don't think Russ wants to wait around. He's 33.
You don't have to wait 2 drafts to fix this team. This team on offense is good enough to go right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it? Have you
you
watched the
forget-
last
did
like
you-
11 games?
No.
Oh,
Ignore all that. Did you watch the beginning of last year? They were the best offense in the league. The offense didn't change. What has changed from that offense? They got a better tight end. They actually have a 3rd wide receiver now that they drafted. They still have DK and Tyler. What has changed from that team that lost to the Bills and put up 42 points? Nothing. That offense.
Then why are you saying this team needs to reset? Like it's not as simple as
you need to
switching the head
reset the
coach.
offense, and it comes down to either get rid of the coordinator and Pete Carroll. Like those people, like people in that position needs to change. The player personnel. This player personnel has played well. They did. Russell's played great for 8 years, and then now it's a problem. That's why it needs to blow up in the background. That needs to blow up. That what needs to happen. You need to stop wasting resources on Jamal Adams. You need to stop wasting that stuff. You need to get Pete's hand out of this and demanding them to get these players and be smarter with your money and smarter with your thing, with your picks and your free agent stuff. Like you can fix this offense. Still has a ton of talent. Tyler and DK are still like, I believe the top 2 of the top 14 most efficient receivers in football. Like they're still super good. Gerald Everett is a good tight end. There's enough talent. Russell Wilson is elite when he's healthy. I mean, like right now we could argue he's not healthy, but to our point, he was bad before he got hurt. Like there is enough talent to do well especially on offense. Defense, no, there's a little different story, but a good offense can carry a mediocre defense. The Kansas City Chiefs have shown you that for 3 years. But behind the scenes is what needs to change. The meeting rooms, the offensive game plans, the being super passive on right before the half, Pete Carroll, and not going for it on 4th down.
Not going on it for 4th down when the other team's kicker is hurt and you need points and it's 4th and 1 and you go out there to do a fake call and then you just don't do it because you have no balls.
If you tell Russell, we're going to get rid of Pete and you can help pick our head coach and our coordinator, you basically are going to be the one deciding it. He will stay.
Maybe. What I'm saying is I don't think it's going to be you like a little bit here, a little bit there. I think it's going to be all or nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're going to. And I think Russell will leave. I'm telling you that's what should happen is Pete should go. But I don't think it will. And Russell will leave.
Well, I think it'll blow it up and Russ will leave anyway, I think.
Russell will stay if you pick his court. You tell him he can pick his coach, he'll stay.
Bravo.
Well, huh?
Get on your knees, Jody Allen, and just grovel. Just grovel and just say, please, please, please. I didn't realize what was going on, but now I see the light. You are the chosen one. Here, please take this. And here's the keys to the franchise. Do with it what you will. I agree. The offense is mostly intact. Obviously, the offense and defensive linemen are always kind of a question mark for me in Seattle, and it's like Pete's trying to recreate like weird facsimiles of the 2013 version. I was like, does he think Adams is Bam Bam? And like does he not get what Chancellor brought to the team and how it's different? I don't know. It's old and it needs, that's what needs to change, but I accept either outcome.
Yeah, I can see it being one bad year, they bring everyone back. Or I can see them saying, screw it, let's blow it up, let's do something completely different. I see either one being a scenario, but I think those are the only options. I don't think you're gonna fire Ken Norton Jr. and bring another D coordinator and change a couple defensive linemen. That's not going to do anything.
They've done that 4 times. It's not going to change anything.
Exactly. That's why I don't see them doing it again.
They fired 3 offensive coordinators. Stop spinning your wheels and make the correct fucking call.
Yeah,
Sorry, but holy crap.
Yeah. What he's saying, Matt, is that doesn't make the case. It's Pete. You have to go higher. It's not Russell. It's Pete.
Well, they
And
just
Matthew
extended
knows-
Pete, so I don't really see
I
that
know.
That's because Jody
happening.
Allen's a dumbass.
But they aren't 3-8 when they extended Pete, are they? They are now. Like that's a problem.
Does John Snyder get off? Is he a saint?
I think at this point with how bad this is, he probably has to go too. Like again, like they don't even have a first round pick to save him next year. Like this tanking isn't gonna do them any good. Like they don't get anything for this tanking. Like
And to what Matt's saying about like trade what you got, it's like it ain't a lot. I don't think it'd be worth it to go that route. I think you just almost try to keep what you have, don't give anything dumb away, and just try to recuperate. And I would still think it's a mecca for free agents in terms of wanting to come and play. If as long as Russ is there, if he's building that offense, they will come.
Russell Wilson is 33 today. Like he's not 40.
all the rules in the NFL are designed to not touch NFL quarterbacks too. Like
like
Tom Brady's 44. He's running around out there. Aaron Rodgers is 40. Like you could play a long time in the NFL.
why give the keys to the car to a 71-year-old idiot versus a Hall of Famed 33 quarterback in his prime?
I am on your guys' side in terms of the Russell thing. I'm just arguing that this is not going to be a just Pete and coaching staff rebuild. It is everything or nothing. That is how I see it.
What? So you are getting rid of what? Everybody?
I'm not getting rid of everybody. What I would say is Russ has 1 year left. There are some teams that could probably use one. I think the Jets would probably take him. I think the Dolphins would probably take him. I think the Giants, the
90% of NFL teams take an elite quarterback, Matthew. You don't trade away elite quarterbacks. That's bad. Okay, anything short of trading away Russell Wilson, how do you fix the Seahawks?
Well, I think you need to admit your mistake with Jamal Adams and either trade or cut him.
He still has trade value.
If you guys don't like Quandre Diggs, I'm not a huge fan, but his contract's expiring. You can let him walk. I think that DK and Tyler can stick around if they want to, but DK seems kind of frustrated this season, so I'm not sure where he's at. But I think you've got him under contract for 2 years. You probably keep him. Same with Tyler. The offensive line is the biggest question. Like, it needs to be built, but you don't have as much room to build it. You don't have much money to play with, so that's going to be tough. I think Carlos Dunlap is a guy that you could probably get rid of. He's a good name, but he just hasn't quite shown it in Seattle, unfortunately. Who else has big money? You keep Bobby. You could let Bobby play out his contract. And if he wants to come back, great. If not, thank you, Bobby. And then, try and get as many draft assets back as you can to actually rebuild. That's what I would say.
Could trade Diggs before the trade deadline this year. You can move all these assets now, but you don't have to keep the good ones on offense. I think if you build around the offense and tell them like, hey, we're firing all these guys, we're getting rid of all these guys, we're going to build around the offense, you can keep DK. DK will stay. He knows that he has Russell Wilson. He's not dumb. He understands that like he can go and be what's his name? He could be Terry McLaurin, poor bastard, like and play with Taylor Heineke and whoever they're rolling out there, for Dwayne Haskins for a couple of years. Don't be that guy. You have Russell Wilson. We're gonna build around the offense, and you tell him that he'll sign. Like people want to catch their passes, put up their numbers. You'd be like, look, we're gonna be a passing team. We're gonna build around it. We're gonna get an offensive coordinator and a head coach that are offensive minded guys. We're gonna do this thing. He'll stay, but that's the big if. Like, I don't know if they're ballsy enough to pull that trigger. And at this rate, Matthew, like you said, they won't. And DK is definitely not staying if it continues like this. And that clock is ticking. That's the same year as Russell. Like you're going to lose DK and Russell in a year and that 2 years, and that's going to suck. What's Tyler's deal? Is Tyler's deal almost done? I don't even know.
No, Tyler just got extended this offseason.
They extend Tyler for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So
3 more years?
Yeah. Yeah. So Tyler's around for a while, but Yeah, I would love to keep Russell and keep it going, but I don't see a world where that happen. I feel like it's kind of like a Peyton Manning situation in Indianapolis where it's like we're gonna move on and try and go in a different direction.
How'd that work out for Indy?
I mean, Andrew Luck had pretty solid
Yeah,
career.
they have a first round pick. We don't. So how does that work without Andrew Luck for Indy? They're doing great. I mean, doing fantastic.
Tyler Lockett is
Denver Broncos went to 2 Super Bowls and won one, but Indy's doing fantastic.
Yeah,
they got Carson Wentz. They got Carson Wentz.
Better record than the Seahawks. All right, let's.
Yeah, but
let's go.
There's some lean years there.
Let's go to the NFC West real quick here, just to run down some results. San Francisco 30, Jacksonville 10. That was the week the Seahawks played the Cardinals, and then this last week Green Bay defeated the Rams 36-28, and San Francisco defeated Minnesota 34-26. Arizona was on a bye. Right now, the Cardinals sit in the number 1 seed. Green Bay is at number 2. Now that the Seahawks are bad, I want the Rams to lose. And these last 3 games have been great. Matthew Stafford sucks, as all of us who watched him in Detroit know. So it's great to see that guy back again. And the 49ers are surging. And we'll get into predictions here in a little bit, but I don't know how many people would put money on the Seahawks here. But Kevin, what do you think of the NFC West?
Yeah, the Rams are kind of weird. Defensively, they're not really the same as what they once were. I think they really miss Josh Johnson back there. Having a top 3 safety kind of helps. It's kind of nice to have that. Offensively, I think the line's getting a little bit older, and that line's usually banged up too a lot of the time. And Matthew Stafford can run, but not like what others can. So I think probably next year you're probably going to see a little bit better Matthew Stafford, who's will have a year under his belt in the system. Hopefully they'll draft some better O linemen. And I think the Rams will probably be they're still going to contend. They'll probably get a wild card this year, most likely, because they're so good. But Super Bowl window will probably be more next year, just because there's still a lot of flaws with this team. Arizona, they're just going to continue to kind of coast until Kyler comes back. They're decent enough to kind of get it done, which is kind of sad to say that. I mean,
they were fortunate, but yeah.
Yeah. 49ers, as Sean's going to mention as well, they kind of realize that they have 2 really beast ass receivers and one of the best tight ends in football, and they should probably use him. Seems like a thing.
And then they lose Ayuk, or then they lose Deebo Samuel for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, was it 2 weeks?
1 to 2, they say. We'll see.
But I mean, you still got Kittle and Ayuk, so it's
it's
why they didn't go to that earlier, because Kyle Shanahan might be not as smart as what most people think. He really likes run game, like Pete. I think he's just a little bit younger, a little bit smarter, but not too much smarter version of Pete. And I think we'll finally, but I don't know, maybe he, with him being young, a little bit smarter, maybe he'll adapt and actually learn how to throw the ball. Now he's got Jimmy G back there, who's not going to, be like Tom Brady or Russell, who's just torch people downfield, but decent enough to where you're going to have 100-yard games with your receivers, while still having a good run game to kind of mix up. Use the throwing. I can see he's kind of now starting to get it, that the throw game sets up the run game and not vice versa, and it's worked out to his benefit. So as long as he continues to do that, then he should be okay. And then, so as the whole, I could see the 49ers try to push for another wild card, because they're looking pretty good defensively. They've kind of shored up some things, and they're just starting to be a nice, well-balanced team the right way. And then the Seahawks are just going to be sitting on the couch in January. So, yeah.
Sean?
I think we a couple weeks ago said how many teams are going to be in the playoffs from this division. I said everyone but the Seahawks. Yeah. They play the Seahawks, Bengals, Falcons, Titans, Texans, and Rams. They could easily win a couple games here. That's for sure. The 49ers are doing things. Jimmy G is tied for second in EPA per play in the league with Kyler Murray. Because he's throwing to very, very good weapons back there. Like they have good weapons. They're talented on offense. Matthew Stafford is currently 5th, and I'm not going to tell you where Russell Wilson ranks in EPA per play because the 3 NFC West quarterbacks are very high and Russell Wilson is very low. It has a 20 and he's in the 20s. So, yeah, the Rams, I'm not looking anything past Matthew Stafford. He's been terrible 3 games. People are like, oh, the chemistry's thrown off with getting Odell Beckham and getting Von Miller. I don't think getting a defensive end or a / linebacker has changed their chemistry so much. I don't think the defense hasn't been as good, but the defense hasn't been as good because the offense is just cannot hold on to the freaking football. Like Matthew Stafford can't hold on to football. Their running backs can't hold on to football. Like it's a mess. They'll figure it out. They'll get on there. They'll make the playoffs. The 49ers again are very talented. Arizona played their backup, played the Seahawks, that was the game where everyone was like, okay, the Seahawks are totally lost. Old Seahawks absolutely run that team. And then they played the 49ers who were like Kevin said, in the fourth quarter, they're like, hey, we have Ayuk. He's really good. And then ever since then, they've just been killing people because they're like, oh, we have 2 good weapons and we have all these weapons. And they're like, oh, so if Cardinals basically play these 2 games in the next couple of weeks, they probably lose both of them or had lost both of them. But winning with Colt McCoy, good luck. Kyler will come back, but Kyler will always be hurt. And I don't know if I trust him. And I hate the fact that Green Bay and Tampa Bay are right there, but that's where they are. And I saw a stat that's interesting before I pass it off to JT that there is, it's called ELO, and it does there's different people that do ELO, which is just like all-time rankings, basically. 538 notoriously coined the phrase, but like other teams do it like all-time rankings based on like composites of like how talented teams are. It takes a bunch of things into effect. And basically there are no elite teams in the NFL this year. The best team, the Arizona Cardinals, and they had it as a couple weeks ago, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the best team. Their ELO would have been like 9th last year in the NFL, or 7th or 9th. Like basically they would have been an okay team last year, but the parity shifted so much this year that no team's like truly like elite is what we consider elite. And so these gaps between all these teams, between like the 49ers who currently sit in 6th and like Arizona who sits in 1, is a lot closer than people want to think. And any week these teams can beat each other. And that's what's frustrating. The Seattle Seahawks, even if they had won today, had a legit chance of making the playoffs because there's all these teams are going to fluctuate and beat each other and do all these things. But not to be. So unfortunately now Washington football team is in the 7th seed. So JT.
I'm just looking at the lay of the land as far as playoff picture. There's only 6 teams in the NFC that are 500 or better.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, none are 500. It's like there's a definitive playoff structure as it stands right now. And then you look at the AFC, there's 11 teams 500 or better in the AFC. It's really interesting. As far as the NFC West, the Cardinals to me are just really impressing me, and they're getting it done with Colt McCoy, and that's what you would expect from an actual truly good team. The Rams, yeah, like Kevin alluded to, trading away the safety, like they're so LA now. They've went so far past St. Louis. They're just so LA. Let's just get some big names and like throw it all together. Von Miller, Odell, and let's do it. Gary Payton, Karl Malone. Let's just lake show this thing. And that didn't work out well, but they still are good enough to make the playoffs, and I think ultimately that's just kind of how it's rolling. The Niners are really interesting to me, whether or not they're gonna to make it in. Right now they are in position, but kind God, what is it there? They need a full turf rebuild of the grass in that state. They are injured more
All the
often than
time.
I think other teams are. And I don't know if that's just a biased thing that I'm just paying more attention to the NFC West, but my goodness, it's almost impressive at this point. But and then the Seahawks 3-8 now, unfortunately, but it's a tough division, and we'll see how it plays out. Looking at Seahawks schedule, moving forward, we got the Niners up next. So,
Well, that's a solid segue there, JT. Let's do some NFC West predictions as well as some Seahawks predictions. So San Francisco at Seattle, they got flexed out of Sunday night. Oh, sad day, sad day. So it's 1:25 in the afternoon. Arizona is at Chicago. Jacksonville is at the Los Angeles Rams. I'll start real quick. I think the Seahawks put up a fight. Don't see them winning. I'm going to go San Francisco 28, Seattle 21. Arizona, Kyler will be back and they're going to roll. I'm going to say 35-20.
He's not for sure back yet.
I mean, he's not for sure back, but I think he's going to be back and I think they're going to roll. And then Jacksonville at the Los Angeles Rams. This is a get right game for Los Angeles if there ever was one. So let's go 31-10 Rams. JT, what do you think?
get right game for sure for the Rams is what I was thinking. Ultimately, let me click over to the Rams here. Jacksonville, man, that seems like it's going to be like a double-digit win for sure. Doesn't really even matter at that point, does it? Do I need to give it a number? Do you want a number? Cardinals, Bears.
Your 12.5 point spread favorite. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Cardinals, Bears. I don't know. Like, it could be a little bit closer. I mean, Hopkins is questionable. Kyle Murray is. The word was hopeful for Murray and Hopkins returning. But either way, I would think that stays about a touchdown or so. Cardinals. So I mean, the real one would be the Seahawks and the Niners. And I was actually just trying to pull that up now, if there's any type of update. So Debo's out, and who's our running back for Seattle? I feel like San Francisco is probably gonna pull this out, and I'd probably say something to the tune of like 24-20.
Sean?
Yeah, Rams get right against the Jags. I think I would personally sit Kyler again. I don't think you need Kyler to beat the Bears. Even if you do lose, you need him healthy when you play the Rams the following week. So I would, if you're not 100% sure he's like 98% healthy, you sit him again one more week, him and DeAndre Hopkins, and you need them against those Rams. And then I really thinking about picking Seattle for some reason. I got a gut feeling.
God.
I don't know. I got a gut feeling that like Seattle might play better against, like, it'll be like that the 49ers forget how to play again for another week. Because that's like Kevin said, the mark of a good coach is consistently being good. And I don't know if Shanahan's like got that figured out yet. Like, he just gets his team looks good in some games, and then like a team's like, what are we doing? I don't know, throw the ball a bunch to like our backup tight end, and they're like, wow, that didn't work. Like, oh, you should probably throw it to Kittle. Like, that just seems something they do. They're like, we don't need Ayuk for a while. And they're like, holy crap, he's really good. Like,
but if you know Sean long enough,
team is.
He's got the good gut feeling, but he doesn't have the great, like, deep in the loins feeling. So he's still like not absolute.
Yeah, I have the great gut feeling. I tell people to pick up fantasy guys, and then I don't do it. And then they're awesome because I should have trusted my gut, but then I don't do it. Kevin, you're welcome for CJ Crone. I don't know why I didn't pick him up like 5 weeks before. My gosh.
Realize I picked
But,
up CJ Cron without even listening to your podcast.
I know, but I told like 4 weeks before you picked him up, I was like, hey, you should pick up CJ Cron. And then we kept making it a joke over and over and over. And I never picked him up. And he just kept doing things. It was
spoke it into existence.
a
and
running joke
now all
for
Sean can
like
do
2 months.
is turn into those tight pants and just cry into those tight pants over your
Tight
shoulder.
pants. Tight pants. Draft, pick up more. Okay, he'll do great. Okay, he does. And I drop him. I'll go 49ers by 3. I think it's a close game, but I really want to pick Seattle. I don't know, 24. God, I don't even know if the Seahawks can put 21 up. 17-14. I changed it. Only 2 touchdowns.
Kevin?
Cardinals game, if Kyler plays, they'll win by 10 points. If Kyler doesn't play, the Bears will win by 7.
Ooh.
Y'all thought the same thing with the Panthers too. Mobile quarterbacks against that defense. I told you boys, and you didn't listen.
Well, Kyler didn't play, but I mean, they'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, and I said the same thing. I'm like, if Kyler plays, they win. But if he didn't, then you saw the result. That Christian McCaffrey guy is kind of good, and so is PJ Walker.
And he's out now, and he's on my fantasy team. So thank you.
PJ
for
Walker is
letting me
not.
dive in.
And then you put Cam Newton on the 1 yard line. They're gonna get touchdowns. Like, they'll do the same thing. Now that Montgomery's back with Mr. Justin. They what's their quarterback?
Andy Dalton.
No, the oh, that's right. Andy Dalton is back. Shit.
Red Rifle
Damn it.
Ginger.
with the
No, I was thinking,
ginger
who's the-
caterpillar.
Who was the kid they drafted?
Fields.
Justin Fields. That's it. Yeah. If they play Justin Fields and they have a chance. If it's Andy Dalton, then no. Yeah, the Rams will win by like 15, 20 points. It's not gonna even be close. And then I'm just gonna say it flat out. Seahawks will lose out the rest of the season.
Wow, the rest of the year.
It's well,
They don't beat
If
the
Ru-
Lions or the Texans?
oh, I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, they don't beat either. of
No,
those
actually,
teams?
no.
Like-
We will lose to the Texans.
Wow. Okay.
But we will beat the Lions. Sorry. So we'll have 4 wins. We're not.
You think you beat the
not
Texans?
that
They're
If
so
we- okay.
bad.
I'm gonna say this right fuck now. If we lose to the fucking Lions, Pete Carroll's ass needs to be on the fucking street. The street, literally within 10 minutes after the game. Or else I want every 12th man to hunt down Jody fucking Allen. Literally. Like, you cannot lose to the fucking Lions.
I would say hunt down her.
Hunt her fucking down. Like, seriously.
I
That's
think
it.
my butt just clenched into tight
Yeah,
pants.
I clenched up. Like, I don't want to get this
Whoa.
podcast banned. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying hunt her down. Like, I'm just saying
That
hunt her
escalated
down
very quickly.
and be like, bitch, you fire that man.
Find her
Like, find her.
quickly and persuade her to change her
Correct.
change.
Strongly worded letter, perhaps. Like I don't. Yeah.
No,
No, you gotta talk to her in
just
person.
buy her
be like,
coffee and be like, hey, I would
Yeah.
appreciate it if you fired Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
like,
Here's some nice
maybe go that
Starbucks. That
Yeah.
old man you have as a head coach and the vice president. Yeah, he's a dumb fuck who just lost to fucking Dan fucking Campbell. So you should fucking fire his ass. Sorry.
we
with
already
that.
lost to McCoy. Like, can it get any
I know.
like,
It can get
for the
worse.
second
It
year.
can
no,
get worse.
We lost to McCoy for the second year in a row.
We lost
Like,
to a thumbless Jared Goff, like, for
Look.
God's sake.
you know.
Anywho.
I'd like to point out real quick that Wikipedia has the owners of the Seahawks as Jody Allen and Colt McCoy.
It's true. Sadly. God, that's so yeah, the game. San Fran. It's so weird, like I said, though, because like Shanahan loses to Pete.
Oh, do you have that gut feeling, like Sean? Or
No, oh god, no, they'll find a way to pull it out.
No, see, I didn't pick Seattle, so Seattle will win because I never trust what my gut tells me. That's what
I'm
JT's point was.
gonna say 16-9 San Fran.
boy, I don't want to watch that game. I want to pick a different game to watch that.
What who wants to watch any Seahawks game right now? Or I already watch paint dry at the moment.
Let us know what you think of the Seahawks. Tweet us. I'm at Bears for Matt. Sean _Beatty. Kev's at Kev's with the first team believes me at 3. JT is at JT _ the gender. let's acknowledge JT's hat and acknowledge the Cougs winning the Apple Cup. It was beautiful. It's beautiful. Max Borghi, you're a beautiful man. And let's give a shout out to Kevin's alma mater, Eastern Washington, taking
Yeah.
on number 6 Montana on Friday. Are the Eagles winning this one, Kevin? Or I mean, they took them down earlier this season. So
It just really depends on how Barrier performs. Like that dude, like it's all kind of on him. Like if he, because the dude has the capability of doing like 5 to 6 touchdown like type of game. So if the defense can kind of hold off Montana, we'll kind of see. And to point out, I'm sorry, gentlemen, that Eastern Washington beat Washington State in men's basketball.
well, I was going to bring that up, but screw you now that you mentioned it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But no, it'll be,
Tell that to me. I go.
depend on
My
Barrier.
allegiance goes both ways now.
Oh. But yeah, it will just, if Barrier shows up, then they have a chance. If he doesn't show up, then no. So
All right. Well, that was a extended long episode since we were gone last week. Thank you, JT, for joining us.
thank you, baby.
And we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports.
Don't forget your tight pants.